This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, you appeared before the Senate on October the 18th, 2023 at a question period, and you were asked a number of questions by two senators on the ArriveCan application. 4 questions were put to you. You were evasive. You were non-responsive. So let's hope your responses to committee today are a little more on point. So the question that was put to you that you did not answer was that the RCMP is investigating the shady contracts surrounding the ArriveCan. The Trudeau government hid the fact from the Auditor General and from all Canadians. And in fact, when it was revealed...
Wait one moment, we have a point of order.
Just to correct the record, the RCMP are not investigating the ArriveCan
Mr.
scam.
Sousa, that's not a point of order. You can bring that up during your time. Thanks.
Just to correct the record.
Mr. Sousa, please. Go ahead, Mr. Brock.
And when it was brought to the attention of the committee that the Auditor General did not hear about the investigation from the Liberal government themselves, but rather a story from the Globe and Mail, everyone was shocked. Canadians were shocked, and the Liberals, with the assistance of the NDP, shamefully shut down the committee after one full round of questions. So my question to you, sir, is who hired the GC Strategies to work on the ArriveCan? Because government officials at the CBSA are pointing fingers at each other. They're blaming each other. They're not answering the questions. So I know that you're not responsible for CBSA, but you're certainly responsible for the funding that went to CBSA to pay the $11 million to a 2-person company that works out of their basement, who did no IT work whatsoever, but simply did a Google search and found IT professionals and pocketed $11 million of taxpayer money. Who hired GC Strategies?
Thank you. And for the sake of being clear and factual, let me again point to what my colleague MP Sousa said. The RCMP is not investigating ArriveCan. So
Sir, this is my time. Who hired GC Strategies?
Sorry, we've got a point of order. One moment. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can we make sure that the witness has enough time? The same time that they're being asked a question,
Point of order.
time to be able to answer.
In this committee, I've always recognized the time as a member's time, and it's Mr. Brock to
Minister,
use, just as I'm sure Mr. Sousa yourself will be able to use your time for that.
Minister, Canadians want a straight answer from this government. We're not getting it from senior bureaucrats. We're not getting it from any member of the CBSA. Who was responsible for hiring GC Strategies and giving them $11 million of the $54 million price tag for the ArriveCan? Who was it?
So we're there to help. We're there to provide information. If there is no time to provide information, that is fine. We'll perhaps be able to provide it in writing.
Minister, will you undertake to give me that answer? Because CBSA will not give me that answer. Will you, as Minister of PSPC, give this committee that answer? Yes or no?
Now, Chair, I'm not totally new in committee meetings. I believe in previous experiences with previous chairs, the minister had approximately the same amount of time to answer as a question.
And you've actually exceeded the time now. So my question is yes or no.
So if you want me to listen to questions, that's fine. If you want me to answer questions, that might be a different matter.
I'm going to interrupt here, and will repeat what I said earlier. I've been on this committee for 8 years, and in this committee, the practice has always been it is the members' time. And gentleman's asked a question, and we always expect and request straight answers.
So, Minister, I'll ask the question again. Will you undertake to this committee to give us information at who within the CBSA hired this 2-person firm and gave this 2-person consulting firm who hired IT personnel and experts and gave them $11 million? Will you give us that answer, sir, who hired GC Strategies?
So first, the RCMP is not investigating ArriveCan. Second, the Minister of PSPC is not responsible for funding CBSA, unlike what you said earlier. So that's the second fact which I think we all need to be clear about. And third, CBSA did choose GC strategies, and you are
CBSA
you're totally
Sir,
right to ask them the
Minister,
question.
who at the CBSA was responsible for the decision to hire GC Strategies? Will you undertake, for the fifth time now, me asking this question, will you undertake to give us that answer?
Will you undertake to ask CBSA who contracted GC strategies?
I ask the questions, you respond.
I'm asking
again,
the
sir.
question because you don't provide
I'm
me with
asking
time
the
to
question.
answer.
Will
so
you do
maybe-
that, sir? Yes or no?
No, let me be a bit more
Okay, you're
positive.
evasive. I'll move on, sir. You don't want to answer the question. I'll move on. GC
Mr.
Strategies
Chair, we
has
have
been
passed 5 minutes
suspended by the CBSA. How many other departments is GC Strategies currently working with?
Be as helpful as I can be. So if you want to ask CBSA a question,
That wasn't the
it's
question.
Perfectly fine.
How many
appropriate
other
to ask
how
the
many other
CBSA
government
question.
departments is GC Strategies currently bidding on and doing work for and receiving taxpayer funds while they're under investigation by the RCMP? How many other departments, and please identify them?
I'm afraid that is our time. Perhaps we can get back to that another round, or perhaps we can provide that. The question has been brought up. When point of orders are brought up, we do stop the clock. So just so you're aware.
On October 4th of this year, the Globe and Mail reported that there were numerous contracting discrepancies between Bottler AI, GC Strategies, Dalian and Karadix, and the CBSA, resulting in a criminal investigation. These alleged activities included collusion, fraud, identity theft, forged resumes, and fraudulent contracting. How do you, as the Minister of Procurement, account for this lack of oversight and this criminal investigation?
Thank you. And let me be clear from the start. The Butler AI contract to which you correctly allude has nothing to do with ArriveCan. It is a contract that was undertaken for other purposes. Now, it is totally appropriate that the RCMP is investigating the important allegations of misconduct in this contract. I understand this is under the purview of CBSA, the Canadian Border Services Agency, and we have confidence that they are going to do their due diligence in digging into this important matter.
This GC Strategies, which we have found was involved in the building of ArriveCan, which received $11 million for sending a few emails over LinkedIn to other companies, is still being used. This company that's being investigated in a criminal investigation by the RCMP is still being used across government. You, as a procurement minister, you have the authority to stop the use of this company, which is being criminally investigated across government. And yet you're refusing to do so. You're allowing other departments under the purview of procurement to use GC Strategies, a company that is under criminal investigation. How do you respond to that, Minister, that you do not eliminate the use of GC Strategies across government as you have the purview to do?
Very good. So first, a clarification, and second, an explanation. The clarification is around Butler AI. As we've just mentioned, the contract to Butler AI had nothing to do with ArriveCan. I think it's important to repeat that because as members of the committee, you have the right to understand the matters and the facts. In terms of clarification, I will turn to my officials who are experts in the clear understanding of the allocation of contractual authorities, financial authorities, and actual implementation of monitoring of the contracts themselves. So I'll ask Minister.
I don't think we want to hear from the authorities. I think Canadians want to hear from you that you will take responsibility for the use of this company, which is still being allowed to be used across government. This is just completely unacceptable. I'll give you some more information, Minister, and perhaps you'll have a better response for Canadians with this. GC Strategies reached out to the CBSA to create a relationship to sell Bottler AI's technology and help them fulfill their obligations under C65. So let's make the connection. GC Strategies that was used with the ArriveCan app is also being used within this contract. Instead of directly paying GC Strategies, the company they were in communication with, the CBSA instead decided to pay Dalian and Caradix to pay GC Strategies to pay Bottler through an existing contract. This contract was valued at $21.2 million and was Informatics professional services and was also used, Minister, for ArriveCan. Does this contracting process concern you at all? And if it does, what are you doing about it right now for Canadians? This should be very concerning for you. This has seized meeting upon meeting of Government Operations Committee. So please share with Canadians what actions you are taking right now today to ensure that we never have another RCMP investigation to this level of potential fraud with the government ever again. Thank you, Minister.
Good. I think, again, all members of this committee expect and deserve information, clear information on what took place. And again, I want to point out that the matter under investigation by the RCMP is a matter of the contractual use of Bottler AI on matters that had nothing to do with ArriveCan. Now, this is still an important matter that has been put to the attention of CBSA, and on what we can do within this department, I'll turn to Deputy Minister Reza.
Mr. Genos for 5, please.
Chair, Mr. Duclos, after 8 years, one of the biggest problems we see with this NDP Liberal government is that while everything is broken, nobody ever takes responsibility. Now, you're the Minister of Public Services and Procurement of Canada. That means your responsibilities include procurement. So I want to ask you again, who is the person responsible for the decision to use GC Strategies and procure through them the ArriveCan app?
Well, I've tried to answer before, but I was cut off. So I'll turn to Deputy Minister Reza to provide the answer.
I want to hear from you, Minister. You're the minister responsible. I'll give you the time. I want you to answer the question.
No, I'll invite Deputy Minister Reza because she might be more fortunate than I was earlier.
No, I would like to hear from the minister who is supposed to be responsible for procurement to tell us who is responsible for the decision to procure the ArriveCan app. I want to hear from the minister.
Well, I can provide information on what ArriveCan did.
No, that's not what the question is, Minister. The question is who is responsible for the decision. Your title, if I understand it correctly, is Minister of Public Services and Procurement of Canada. This was a procurement of $54 million. It was procured through a two-person company that did no IT work and subcontracted the work. You're responsible, I think, to provide answers to this committee regarding procurement. So can you tell this committee who was responsible for the decision to procure through GC Strategies?
So what you just said is inaccurate because you've just said that $54 million was granted to a particular firm. ArriveCan...
Minister, I wasn't born yesterday. Who was responsible for the decision?
So let me continue. So
who was responsible for the decision,
Minister? Associated with 14 different outcomes, the first of which
Minister,
indeed cost $80,000.
Who was responsible for the decision?
Okay. Am I allowed to continue?
Chair, I'd actually ask you to bring the witness to order. Yeah, he has an obligation to answer a question just like any other citizen who appears before this committee.
Specific question.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, point of order.
Point of order, Mr. Kuzmierczuk.
Mr. Chair, again, just allow the witness to respond to the questions here. We're all interested in the response. These rapid fire questions.
Mr. Kuzmierczuk. I think we have
nice try.
I've got the floor still. 2 issues. Yes, allow the minister to respond, but the member has asked very specific question. I think we're looking for a very specific answer. He's offered you the time to answer the very specific question, and I'll turn the floor back to Mr. Genos. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chair. I will repeat the question. I've said it a few times, but I don't want there to be any confusion, Minister, about what information I'm looking for. Who was responsible for the decision to use GC Strategies for the procurement of the ArriveCan app? Who made that decision?
As I said earlier, it's CBSA that made those decisions.
Do you know which person was responsible for that decision?
You should ask the Minister of CBSA. We'll be very pleased to come and visit the committee.
Minister, I asked a similar question to your officials, and Ms. Durgan told the committee the following. For the initial ArriveCan contract, CBSA approached us with a procurement strategy for sole sourcing. They presented GC strategies to PSPC. So your officials told us that they received a proposal from CBSA. Could you explain to the committee who in your department made the decision to proceed and who approached your department from CBSA?
So GC Strategies was selected by CBSA, and now I'll turn to DM Riza to provide the mechanics of how this happened.
Who on your side made the decision? Who on their side brought it to you? This is an extremely important matter because we have senior public servants at CBSA accusing each other of lying about who is responsible. Cameron McDonald and Min Doan are both accusing each other of lying because nobody wants to take responsibility for the decision. It seems you don't want to take responsibility for this either. Could you, and we would love to hear at some point from the Minister of CBSA at the time, but could you tell us who are the individuals in their department and your department who made this decision?
The work of the members of this committee is very important. You're entitled to ask the right questions to the right people. I've already answered the question as to whether we selected GC Strategies. The answer is no. If you want to know more about the contractual relationships or the...
Minister, I'd like to know who made the decision. Have you asked who made the decision?
My Deputy Minister will be pleased to answer.
Minister, have you asked who made the decision?
As I said,
have you asked who made the decision?
Was selected by CBSA.
Have you asked the person who made the decision?
If you'd like to ask CBSA who exactly made those decisions within that department, it's a perfectly appropriate question. If you want to know the mechanics between PSPC and CBSA,
Minister, just to conclude,
we'll be very happy to answer.
I've asked you a pretty basic question about who the individuals responsible for the decision are. You haven't answered. You haven't answered about who's responsible or whether you've asked who's responsible. Your title is Minister of Public Services and Procurement, and you're telling us you're not responsible for procurement and you don't know who is. So I'm left wondering, what is it that you do as Minister of Procurement?
That is our time. Mr. Duclos, you're welcome to answer it, but we have on to Mr. Zouari, but...
I think I've answered the question many times, and I'll be pleased to answer it again if it comes back later.
Okay.